Welcome to episode 1547 of the Multifamily Collective. Today, let's talk about the gap in the gain. And that is a philosophy that was made famous by Dan Sullivan. Dan Sullivan is the founder of Strategic Coach, is a very famous coaching organization that I think has been around probably 30 years, maybe even close to approaching 40 years. But anyway, Dan is responsible for writing a book called The Gap in the Gain. And many times in life, this is just basically describes two ways of thinking about your progress or how you measure progress in your life. And the gap is, if you're thinking in a gap way, you are thinking about where you are today versus where you want to be. And that there is a gap between those two things. And many times we get stuck in this gap philosophy or this gap way of thinking about our progress in the world, and sometimes it's not motivating. It's not an inspiring reflection or look at where you want to be because it's so daunting, right? You think, here I am today, making $60,000 a year. I want to make $160,000 a year, and the gap between those two things is very daunting, especially as it relates to who you are at this moment in time. The gain way of thinking, the more productive way of thinking is think back to a moment in time where you were making like $30,000 a year. I'm probably dating myself because these numbers are wildly off, right? So, but go for it. Go with it rather. $30,000 a year, you're making $60,000 today. What did you do between the time you were making $30,000 and now that you're making 60? You made some gain there. And there was some improvements in your character, improvements in the way you show up in the world, improvements in your skill set that gave reasons for you to get from here to here, right? From 30 to 60. So now you can take what you've learned in the gain and figure out what kind of person do I need to be? What kind of skill do I need to have to make $160,000 a year when I'm only making $60,000 a year? And using history lessons, right, from 30 to 60, you can say, okay, I need to improve X and Y and Z, and I can move myself from 60 to 120 to 160 by improving on those things. So my encouragement to you today is when you are sitting in a moment and you're very frustrated by your lot in life, reflect back and think about when you were making half of what you're making today, if you're thinking about money, and pick a target and use these history lessons to understand what you need to do, who you need to be in order to get to where you want to go. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.